lessons and blessings. Lessons and the good and the bad. Yeah?
Right.
Lessons and blessings.
Oh, I like that. And that's an interesting one, because so you say good and bad. Are you saying the lessons would be the bad, and the blessings
The more
obviously the
challenging.
good?
It's challenging to have a lesson. And a blessing's very nice to receive. No?
Yes, yeah. And so from a language perspective, I wouldn't say either of those would. They both sound okay or good, but so to reframe, because I know we've spoken about this in the past as well, reframing a challenge as a lesson, and a hardship as a lesson is.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a huge barrier for a lot of us, right?
Yeah, I know.
When you're in it, it's
when you're in the middle of a lesson.
That's a faith. So it's a faith. It's actually, I guess we're talking about faith here instead of a fear. The fear that this thing doesn't mean anything, or that you're not going to make it through it. Maybe that fear, rather than faith. I'll make it through. Faith that there's something yet to learn, and faith that you can share it, and maybe even. So it's almost a cycle of obstacle and pain, learn, share, heal.
Heal, yeah.
It's beautiful.
There's a verse in the Nectar of Devotion. I hope I'm not going to botch it, but it just gets me through every time. It says, one who constantly offers obeisances means to bow down to the Supreme Person from the core of their heart, while suffering the reactions of past misdeeds or lessons, becomes diabak, or entitled to the kingdom of God.
Okay.
Means, to translate into our conversation now and the modern language that we're about to, one who with full faith knows that they will get through this lesson a better person, will come closer to the goal, rather than, I don't know, how else can it turn? You can become a victim. You can get into the victim consciousness.
Yes.
Oh, why me?
Yes.
Oh, why
That's
me?
dreadful.
Why me?
That's
I'm
dreadful.
a good person.
Yes.
Why me?
I didn't do anything to deserve this. And it's the mystery of you being thrown into existence, and there's so much suffering. It seems indiscriminate. It just anyway. No one gets away. But you want to believe that there's a meaning and purpose behind it, and I do think there is. There is. You have to look past it. You have to at least try, and it's very hard. I've never managed to do it whilst I'm in it, but I can look in hindsight. It all makes sense.
Which gives you the tools for the next lesson that maybe I can't see it now, but I know that from past experience.
Yes.
I got through. I know from past experience I was somewhat richer for it, somewhat enriched. Anyway, we're not propagating look for suffering or
No.
But when it comes as it must, it's very naive to think that we will just get a university degree.
Yeah.
We will have to balance life. We will have to,
setbacks and all sorts will happen.
Face whatever happens. Yeah. And the school of life, all its lessons. One can see the material world in a couple of ways, according again to the modes of nature. If it's the school of hard knocks, then it's like, okay, I've done so many certain vibrational activities, and therefore I'm getting so many certain vibrational responses. And if you constantly need to learn through that method, then it's a bit like a prison house. And you have to go through the school of hard knocks.
Yes.
And then as you come a bit to the mode of inquisitiveness and
bigger questions.
Yeah, you want to get better. You want to get better. Then you enter like the hard question. Yeah, why? What is it about me that needs
you,
to?
and something just doesn't feel right. And it's an intuition, and it's very hard because it's not something that we teach or advocate. But yeah, and you've touched on so many things now. I'll discuss afterwards. But yeah,
this is Humana. This is where I see Humana. Humana is asking you to ask, but why? What do we need? What do we need in terms of connection, community?
Yes. It's an intangible, and your troubles are not going to be solved by collecting more of the possession. Like we know this.
More
to
stuff
be true.
in the bag.
We all know.
We need a bag. We need a bag to keep our things in while we're here. But
yes.
So that's like rehab. You've gone from prison to rehab, and you're going, okay, but I want to get better. I want to get better from whatever sort of situation I've put myself in through a lack of self-love, a lack of, or losing my connection with the idea of being of service, and losing my connection with divinity, mostly, like you say, due to this lack of feeling worthy or self-love. And then you're into the school of life. Oh,
yeah.
Then we know, lessons. Then we.
I love
so
that.
It's a progression.
That was I love the part about School of Hard Knocks, and you can stay there if you want, but so it's not just you contrasted lessons with blessings. It's not just that you got to try and transcend lessons as a, like you say, an inquisition, a curiosity.
I think my example's a little rusty and it's got some rough edges, because lessons are blessings, aren't they?
They are. But it's easier for me to understand because blessings are quite obviously blessings when they come along. So, but the reframing of problems is beautiful. We need to, and I was going to go along the lines of the prison, and you can stay in the hard knocks and just keep your head down and keep wondering why you're hitting walls. And those walls, it's there because you didn't make the lesson before. And the more hard knocks occur, it's like, you don't escape that. Mm-hmm. You're going to keep wondering why. Why does this keep happening to me, And if you can transcend that to understand now why it's happening to me, and maybe preemptively inquire. So that you see the wall coming up, Mm-hmm. Yeah. There was another thing that you said that, the school of life. The school of life. We don't have a culture where lessons are learned outside of the formal learning. And the big realization to me is you learn in absolutely every context, from anyone and everything. Learning is as limited as you make it. Right.
Yeah, I like that. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a personality called the Avadut Brahmana. Mm. So an Avadut Brahmana is basically a person who is not conforming to social norms. Mm-hmm. They are on the pursuit of self-realization, and they don't fit in the box. They are fully kind of expressing like other realities. Anyway, an Avadut Brahmana, and he went on a journey, and he accepted, I hope I don't get the number wrong, but it's something like 27 gurus. Mm-hmm. And he learned lessons from a mountain, a python, a prostitute, and he accepted all these 27 elements as his guru that could teach him. They could teach him something, and I like that one. I like that personality a lot. I like to think of that analogy of just learning. And being open to learning, and if you're hitting those walls, then you ask for help. There's so much of it. The sun shine is there. It's there. It's just sometimes you got stuck in a dense forest and you don't know how to get, and you just got to ask for help. Mm. You just got to ask for help.
It comes all the way back to our first episode on vulnerability. It's just that I don't like asking for help.
Yeah, I can relate. I can relate.
Interesting, it's a disservice to yourself, but also to someone else who would love to help you. They have the desire to do service, and all you have to do is give them an opportunity. So you have to think, if we start thinking about human connection, it's a two-way street, and removing yourself and isolating yourself, you're cutting off that opportunity for other people to do that service-related stuff that's part of their spiritual journey. See, it's really interesting if you start thinking about that.
Yeah.
And then also yourself a disservice because maybe you deserve that, or it's someone is trying to give it to you and you're throwing it away, which is actually it's kind of rude if you think about it.
You make me think of that. There's a tarot card called the Four of Cups. So these 3 cups are hovering above this person, and they're sitting in a position like this, so they're ignoring the 3 cups, and so they're floating there. And then there's a 4th cup that's being presented right under their nose, and they're going, no,
don't want it.
No.
And why we do that, I'm not sure. Not worthy, maybe at that time. Sense of guilt, shame. And the vulnerability that maybe you're going to get hurt again is, that is hard to overcome. Yeah, to start trusting. So you build up trust, and I think that's a big part of knowing where to. We discussed previously, you fill up your cup in certain places and you give of your cup willingly.
Yeah. This is if I could, this is the storehouse of love of God. So these 2 personalities. There was a caste system in India that was like kind of isolating transcendental knowledge to the caste of Brahmins, who are the priest class, and then there's the Sudras, are the laborers, and the Vaishyas are the farmers or the mercantile class, and then the Sudras, Vaishyas, Brahmanas, and Kshatriyas, the warriors, the defenders, the administrators, the kings, and so these 2 personalities, Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, they're described as having broken open that storehouse and distributing it freely, just distributing. But before they started to distribute, once they broke open this storehouse of love of God, they first drank and drank and drank and drank.
Of course.
So we were speaking about filling up your cup,
yes.
and then
being a bit selective, not too, I don't like, it's hard for me to actually understand that next part is you do want to give to everyone, and then eventually in the wrong places, like you say. So and how to understand that you should not be enabling this certain thing, and it's hard because it's sometimes not as obvious as an addictive behavior or a toxic product that you bring into the workplace or something. It's hard to always identify.
I think it really boils down to refining that discernment. So it's not that you're not going to give, but remember the Bhagavad Gita is guiding what you give, how you give, where you give. It's never that you're not giving. It's never that you're not serving. But what, whom, where, how. That is, it's... what's an example? If we were to sort of take this discussion to the street corner and try and philosophize with a hungry man.
Yes. Oh yeah.
It's just, it's not going to sink in. But a hearty meal.
Absolutely.
Off camera.
Yes.
Hearty meal.
Of course.
And just a sense of camaraderie, and just a sense of, whatever. There's some sunlight. Would you like to step into the sunlight with us and get some vitamin D? Then that...
yes, okay. I do see now.
You're still giving.
Yes.
But you're not giving your agenda what
right
you think
way.
is necessary. So it's that constant discernment on how to serve. It's never a question of serve or not serve. How may I serve you?
What do I have in my toolbox that I can potentially use? Yeah, and it's not always ideal for you in the way that you want to, but you must be open to the idea that there are other ways you can serve, and you must explore. You can't be, no, I only want to do this. The people who need, and they will come up in your life, whether you like it or not, they come to you sometimes. You must sort of adapt to what you have or how you would like to serve,
Sure.
What I said almost right at the beginning is how we feel. We feel good when I can't really explain that part about it. But, you can spend years trying to fix certain things. You go through talk therapy. We have the Western way of medicating things. And I have no doubt it has a place. But the big conversation that we're not having is the service to others and how that is healing, deeply healing. And I just sort of stumbled into it. And I remember telling you guys, I don't know how the truth is not out there. Someone got it.
How is this secret not advocated on every... It is.
It's amazing to me.
This is what I'm telling you, these 2 personalities who broke open. Do you know what, when we chant that mantra, Rama means 2 things. Rama, it means bliss, and it means service. and say, please engage me in your service.
Yes.
That's what you chant all day. Please engage me in your service. And then you kind of, like I told you about these meditation programs in the morning, 7 o'clock, you go for one particular one. And I've always thought of it as an audition. You go and you're auditioning. You don't know what role you're going to get. You don't know what role you're going to get. You go and you say, any service I can do today. And you don't know what role you're going to get.
Yeah.
And the roles are unlimited.
Yes, they are.
And it's rolling out. It's like the golden age. Within Kali Yuga, it's the golden age. And these opportunities for service are rolling out now more than ever. And if you really want to tap into this mantra, I'm telling you, Hare Krishna and Rama, it's a prayer for service. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
How may I be of service?
And they connected the idea of bliss and service. Connected. It's not a chore. It's something you do extra for this. It's absolutely part of your feeling content.
You can't separate.
And it also brings a sense of meaning and purpose, of course. And like I say, we sort of clouded that idea, that vision, by commercializing it. Products and services, make careers, and sure, it has a role. But it's really interesting that we did forget the root thing that we're doing, service. Yeah,
we forgot. And
the best, we do this with the design thing in entrepreneurship, is to deeply involve yourself in the other person's lifestyle and the things that pains them. Yeah, and if you want to be successful, at least on the, we come back to materialistic side, but it doesn't necessarily have to be that. But involve yourself in other people's lives and understand you have to transcend your own problems. And there's empathy.
What you say makes me think, we were having a discussion, I think, in the lift about you. You get all the knowledge, you get all the tools, or you get some knowledge and some tools.
Yes.
And then you say, now what do I do with them?
Yes.
You've asked for service, you've prayed the prayers, whatever it is for you, whatever those names are for you, that you get that connection through. And now you say, what do I do with all these tools? And it's a constant thing, because today you're doing this with the tools, and tomorrow you can either expand or you can. It doesn't end. I mean, that's another question. So we've irrefutably established one must be of service. There's not one person who's not serving.
Yes, absolutely.
But do you think there is an end to it? Do you think you ever reach the perfection of?
I think it takes it. There's definitely no end, and it takes the humility to understand that you're not really in charge. You're not really in charge. It feels like you are, but I've sort of surrendered to the idea that I will try my best at all times to do the right thing, to do the good thing. And I just have to trust, because at times I felt like I wasn't good enough, but that was I had to go down that route. I can't beat myself up over and over again about the past. And I made the lessons and how, but it does not end. And also, you're absolutely right. You keep learning, you acquire knowledge, but are you a wise person? Not potentially. That's not something that's taught. Are you a spiritual person? You see.
I've got another question. Are you acquiring knowledge, or are you remembering something that you've forgotten? This is a question. You don't have to answer it. It's just a question. Or you can answer it.
I love it, because I know where it's going.
So, are you remembering? And then if you are remembering, what is it that we forgot? Because that's how we started. You said something derailed this grand plan we had, all these promises we made in the womb. Something derailed. Something distracted us. Distracted us from what? And what is it that we're trying to remember?
Remembering in terms of acquiring knowledge and wisdom and understanding of how all of this.
But if we accept that we're a spirit soul, which is consciousness, and consciousness is pure, if you take away all these layers, all the bags, all the things we're carrying, and consciousness is pure. It's Sat, it's Chit, and it's Ananda. It's pure, and it's full of knowledge, and it's full of bliss. But we've chosen a particular costume and played this particular role according to desires. But what is it that we're trying to remember? What is it? Who's the bird? Who am I?
This is the ultimate question. Sometimes we end up talking on the show, and these are questions that have never been explored, but we can try. I don't know. It's the most honest answer I've ever given.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that answer, because then it probes another question. How are you going to find out? How are you going to, or are you going to just be happy with I don't know? This is for life. Like, if you don't know, are you going to be happy with not knowing, or you're going to find out?
Yes. Okay. Well, at least I do know what I need to do, and
to find out.
Yeah, to find out.
Yeah, so there you go. So you do.
Asking questions is and also it's being in the space. Again, earlier I said space, inverted commas. It's like it's not a building, it's a spiritual space. And once you enter that, you go, okay, now I'm ready to receive and find out. So I might not know now, but it's a type of faith where I might know in a year's time, or 2 years' time, or 3 years' time.
There's something just to give you this hope. It's called Lava Matra. It's a Vedic calculation of time, and I don't know the exact fraction, but it means like a moment. But it's not just a moment, it's like the tiniest fraction of a moment. Okay.
So your mind can't even wrap your head around
the minuteness of this moment.
Yes.
It says it can happen in that moment.
I had quite an interesting moment end of last year, and I suppose part of my journey to this discussion, even I was trying to come up with a truly novel, creative thought for making a game for a course of mine. I thought every single game I thought of was what already is in my mind. It already existed. My true novelty had been tainted by all the baggage that I've been carrying, so the experience. So the tapping into what you're trying to remember, it becomes more of a disconnect from what you think you know, an unlearning almost. It's the letting go of what you think, and then it brings you closer to making something that the world has never seen before. And in some ways, maybe even this podcast is also closer to what we don't usually do, and the world doesn't know what this is.
I like that. I like that. So this was, you got these realizations from designing a game.
Yes, yeah.
I like that. I also walked into, I live in an ashram, in a temple, and I walked in there with an idea of what I wanted to study, what I hadn't done, what I had done, who I was. And none of those ever said artist. I never thought of myself as an artist. I thought of what I wanted to be, what I didn't end up being, what I want to be now as a spiritualist. And then I met a spiritual teacher, and he always said to me, you're an artist. Whatever discussion we'd have about life, the meaning of life, and it always starts or ended. I don't think he ever sat with me and never said, you're an artist. So he said, you're an artist, you're not. And then I sort of realized the poetry thing, which had been going on since, gosh, I don't know how old I was when I wrote my first poem. I don't know. I was young. So but the point I'm trying to say is that in my case, it was someone who had this vision for myself that was greater than what I could see. Because I'm, like you say, stuck in the baggage of what I think and what I... Someone who's on a bit of an elevated platform, who's on a very elevated platform, can just see you would thrive in this particular role in this particular lifetime. Sometimes we need that as well. It's helpful. It's really helped me. It's really helped. Yeah.
And the part about creativity that really amazes me, it's hard to understand this, but it's absolutely channeling something greater than yourself sometimes. In fact, I can't think of an instance where you're not channeling something greater than yourself. It is always. We say self-expression, but the self should be removed. It is just expression of what? That's the hard question.
Expression of what?
Yes, because it's a creative, it's an act that you felt compelled to do. And I know we started talking about this earlier. It's that I came to a sudden realization that it would all come if you try and pin each thing down. The things you think, everything we've acquired, it goes back. And then how far does that go back? Well, eternity. Your parents, their influence on you. Your grandparents, their influence on your parents. And they've been, so everything that is built up, and we keep expanding this almost illusion.
I thought of that, as I was saying it, I thought of, okay, it's the typical thing for this person took on a fatherly role, but much more than that. I mean, in the role of spiritual instructor. So it was, but generally the parents give you some idea that sometimes it's not always, sometimes it's okay. Dad was a doctor, therefore please become a doctor, or mom says please study that, or at least please study something, or please do.
Yes.
But when it's someone who's on a platform who has nothing to gain or lose from, for example, this particular person has already left this planet, they've left their body, they've got nothing to gain or lose from whether I'm an artist or not. It's purely seeing a potential that I have, that if I can connect that spark back to the root, if I can connect that back to the roots of creation, if I can offer that, they know it's going to help me, heal others. You know, so
that's the calling thing that this is the closest thing we can do to explain it. And it's amazing in language. We have these things that are deeply spiritual, but we just throw them out there. But that is a calling.
Yeah.
And tapping into that has been a beautiful journey for me, at least in the last year.
Humana. And so much more to come.
Yes,
so much more to come.
Yeah. And it gives a little bit more direction to our lives.